Keeping pace with innovation is not just about survival, it's about thriving and setting new benchmarks in your industry.
Our software facilitates the claims, transfers, and reimbursements between the employer and the employee.
According to recent research, nearly 40% of Canadian businesses are facing significant labor related challenges, particularly in retaining skilled employees.
Anyone that has a business relationship with a business owner can essentially learn about our product and see if it could be a good fit for their clients.
Hello and welcome to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. I'm your host SK, ready to dive into another episode packed with insights, stories and strategies for our small business community. Today, we are exploring the critical role of employee benefits, workforce management challenges and the well-being of business owners. We are very excited to have Johann Reandino with us today, the CEO of BeniPlus Inc., a trailblazing insurtech startup transforming employee benefits for small businesses across Canada. Johann's impressive background includes a successful exit from his drone technology venture and experience at top consulting firms like PwC and KPMG. At BeniPlus, he is dedicated to providing flexible, affordable benefit programs that address the diverse needs of today's workforce. Good morning, Johan. Welcome to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm well. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, it's a great pleasure to have you in our studio today. We are all excited to learn from your journey and hear how you are transforming the employee benefits landscape and especially for small businesses. Behind every innovative company is a story of vision and perseverance. Could you share what inspired you to work with the BeniPlus team and take the charge of large consulting, leave the charge of large consulting firms to working with a startup in the insurance space?
My journey is actually it goes way back as well, because prior to BeniPlus, I did found and I scaled and exited my previous venture in the drone technology space, and to make that shift was definitely a combination of various factors. I would say is luck, timing, and I was also faced with the crossroads of at a point in my life where we kind of had to look. I had to look into what my values were and what really aligned with my values at the time, and what would actually light me up and get me up every morning. And that's really the basis of what that decision had to be, where I had to leave the comforts of corporate to kind of venture off and start something new, and that in combination, of course, with a little nudge from my girlfriend at the time, who's my wife now, to just say, you know what, if not now, when?
Yeah.
And so we had to take the plunge and never look back.
That's the motivation everyone needs, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And what were some key lessons you learned during your transition from consultancy to entrepreneurship?
You gotta be a sponge, a flexible sponge of that sorts, because as soon as you launch your own venture, you are 100% learning 24/7. You have to learn very quickly. That means you have to learn HR. You gotta learn how to manage people. You have to learn accounting, you have to learn marketing, you have to learn advertising. Everything comes at you all at once, pretty much from day one. Right. And if you're resistant to that type of learning, then your journey is just going to be a lot more difficult. But as long as you're able to be moldable, be flexible, and roll with the punches, because there's going to be a lot of them, then that's really how you kind of move forward.
Right. As you said, Johan, you have to wear different hats, many hats at one time in managing HR, finance, and everything. For small business owners are also in the same boat. What is your advice to small business owners when they are managing single-handedly all these responsibilities?
Managing blocks of time and dedicating it to certain priorities is definitely, I guess, a key skill. It sounds simple, but once you actually execute it, it's a lot more complex. Because with everything that gets piled and thrown at you, everyone seems to think, oh, I'll get to it when I get to it. And that never works. That never works. Because if you don't actually carve out time and make time to get this thing done, something else is always going to take its space. So if you're always thinking, oh yeah, I'll get to it soon, it's just going to keep going because there's always going to be the next thing that's always going to insert itself somewhere.
Yeah, every day is a new challenge, right?
Yeah.
Let's pause for a moment here. Johann's journey through the evolving landscape of insurtech highlights the rapid changes and opportunities within this sector. For those of you listening who are navigating similar disruptive industries, think about how you are embracing innovation within your own business model. Are there new technologies or approaches you could be considering to stay ahead of the curve? Keeping pace with innovation is not just about survival, it's about thriving and setting new benchmarks in your industry. So, moving on, let's discuss the importance of employee benefits. In today's competitive market, retaining talent is more crucial than ever. How does BeniPlus help small businesses manage the challenges of hiring and retaining staff through innovative benefit solutions?
So we essentially provide small businesses a tool that allows them to provide benefits when maybe they're in a situation where they're not in a situation that they have a traditional plan in place already. So we're taking a lot of business owners from 0 to 1 in that sense, where it's like they may have gone to market and maybe have gotten some quotes. Maybe they got the plan back, but it was either too expensive or too complicated, or their team was literally, 2 or 3 people. So it just didn't really give a lot of value to that type of demographic. And so what we've done is essentially provided a platform that's no cost to use. It's pay as you go. And it's completely flexible in a sense that the owner or the business owners have control as to how much they want to spend on a benefit plan. And like you said, in today's market, it's not all about your hourly wage or your salary. It's also other things that come along with the job that will affect whether or not people, for one, are getting attracted to you, stay with you, and stay motivated to stay with you to continue to perform. And you can reward your employees in certain ways, in various ways, and one of them, a key part of that compensation plan, is to essentially encourage them to take care of their health and wellness. Because if you show up, you're in a good mental space, you're in a good physical space, that's all going to show up throughout your work. So a lot of folks think that benefits is just an expense. We believe it's really an investment on your P&L rather than just another expense line item. And we've created the platform that is the most flexible in the market that enables business owners to provide a level of benefits to their staff.
And Johann, you mentioned business owners can control the cost. Can you give an example, or else can you elaborate it more for our listeners?
So in the, I guess, standard traditional model in the group insurance world, you would essentially pay premiums to the insurance company to cover your team of, say, 10 people. Typically what happens after, let's say, the first year of being on that plan, year 2 renewal comes around. So what that means is, like any other insurance renewal, they're going to look at the claims that were submitted and paid out among all your team, and then they would do their big math number thing that the insurance companies love to do, and they would then present you with a new renewal rate. More often than not, the renewal rates do go up, right? Because that's just the nature of how insurance companies want to make money. They basically take a look at, and I'm obviously simplifying this, but they take a look at how much premiums was paid by the business and how much claims the insurance company paid back out to the demographic of that business. And then they build in the calculation as to, okay, how much money do I want to make from this client? Typically, the first year, insurance companies are okay to take a loss, right? Because they know come year 2, that's when they're going to
That's the business model, right?
Yeah, that's when they're going to make money from you. And so in that cycle, it's almost like you're kind of basically guaranteed to go up every year. And the cost of that is not really in that control anymore. It's more like, okay, what's the renewal time this year? Great. Okay, we have to take it, right? And if the renewal price doesn't go up, what does that tell you? It means not a lot of people are using your plan. So that means they made money from you, so they're okay to keep you at that rate, right? With our product, it's really... It's a non-insurance based model because the employer then funds the plan directly to the employees. So let's say, for example, if an employer was paying $10,000 a year to the insurance company, we're flipping that and saying, why don't you give that $10,000 to your employees directly to spend on what means the most to them? Because there's twofold to that, right? The first aspect is one, obviously the founder gets to decide how much they want to spend, right? And I have a good year, I can give them more. I have a bad year, I can give them less. So it's flexible in that sense. And then the second side of that coin is really the flexibility on the employee side of things. Because in a traditional plan, it's pretty fixed. Everyone has the same thing. You get the same limits. I'm sure you're pretty familiar with for example, $300 that you get for physio, chiropractor, massage therapy, that kind of stuff. But truth of the matter is, in your team, not everyone is going to use the exact same things. Everyone has different priorities, different stages in life, different health conditions or what have you, and so everyone's going to be also a little bit different. And so for what BeniPlus does is say, okay, here's the spend that I'm going to be spending with a traditional insurance company anyways. I'm going to flip that around and say, I have a team of 3 people. I want to give everybody, say, $3,000 to spend on throughout the year on what means the most to them. And now it's up to the employee to decide what they want to do with that, with those dollars. And our software facilitates the claims, transfers, and reimbursements between the employer and the employee. And one of the most powerful things that we've built in, and we're obviously shining to light, is that a lot of a major category in the health spending account category flows tax-free from the employer to the employee. Right, so that's a huge tax savings, not just for the employees, but if the owner is working in the business as well, this is a huge tax savings piece for the business owner to essentially draw from their business to pay for their personal medical expenses without having to pay income tax. And so we facilitate that movement of funds.
So following on that, as you have been working with different small business owners, Johann, what feedback have you received from the businesses that have implemented your models?
Some of the word for word feedback that we've gotten from business owners is it's a no-brainer. Why didn't I know about this sooner? Why didn't you guys contact me about this sooner? And everyone's just been raving about the simplicity and the modern look and feel of how they're using the platform. So we have a great team behind it. We have a great support team, a great dev team, and that's our goal, just to make it as modern and as easy to use as possible. You can submit all of your claims through the app super quickly. It flows very well, and then you get your reimbursements the day after, if not quicker. So
that's good to hear. I think awareness need to be created more and more about this kind of offering, so small business owners can take advantage of it. This year, according to recent research, nearly 40% of Canadian businesses are facing significant labor-related challenges, particularly in retaining skilled employees, which really underscores the critical role of attractive employee benefits in talent acquisition and retention. How does your brand BeniPlus ensures its benefit solutions are designed and aligned with the evolving needs of businesses and their employees?
A core aspect of how we built the initial product is really flexibility. So like I mentioned before, it's really up to the employee to decide how they want to use the dollars that the employer has given them. From the employer side, they're spending the same. So what it looks like from the employer side, it's like, okay, the spend is the same, but then the value that's received by the employee is just significantly higher. Because in the traditional model, the benefits, I guess, paragraph in an employment offer letter is it's usually very vague. It's more like, yep, we have it, here you go. It's not really, in the spotlight of how much they're spending on it, how much they're actually getting from it. So the value perception of that is not really clear for a lot of the employees that are just reading over their employment letter. Whereas if they have a BeniPlus wallet, then they can literally, itemize how much dollars and value that they get from their benefit plan from their employer. And so it's really just a matter of making sure that the employer is giving the message to the employee that, they care about your health and wellness and they care about your individual need rather than everybody gets the same thing, take it or leave it.
Yeah, and I believe it's clear that flexible benefits are becoming essential tools for employee satisfaction and retention. Thank you for sharing those valuable insights. As Johann discusses the innovative employee benefits platform at BeniPlus, It's a great opportunity for us to think about the flexibility in the benefits we offer to our teams. How adaptive are your employee benefits to the unique needs of your staff? Flexible benefits can be a game changer in how staff perceive their value within the company. Consider how introducing more personalized options might impact retention and satisfaction within your team. Could this be the next step in evolving your business culture?
Now, moving on, let's discuss about the wellness of business owners. That's very, very important, right?
Yeah.
The well-being of business owners often, takes a back seat during the hustle of running a company.
Absolutely.
You have personally experienced the toll that neglecting health can take. How do you manage, manage to balance your well-being with the demands of leading a fast-growing startup?
Probably getting into the habit of making little habits kind of things, if I were to put it that way. But having a solid morning routine, just to make sure that your day is off to a really good start, because how as the owner, how you show up every day to work and to your team impacts how they feel. And if you're showing up with not that great of a mood every single day, that's all gonna trickle down to the team, which will trickle down to their performance, which will impact your business at the end of the day, right? So it's really, really important that, as a founder, as an owner, your mental space and capacity is clear, and just making sure that everything is really, I would say, organized in a sense, because I guess for me personally, if my mind is clear and organized, then how I operate and function on a day-to-day is just, it's correspondent to that. If my mind is messy, usually my work is messy, right? And just making sure that, you're able to give yourself some space. Usually in the mornings are great. At night, everything else comes and you're usually very tired and this and that. So carving out some sort of a morning routine and sticking to it and making it into a habit of implementing it can make a huge impact, not just on that day, but every single day afterwards and the weeks and the months to follow. And you're going to see, or your employees are going to see, how you show up to work.
Johann, are there any practical tips you want to share with other entrepreneurs, struggling with these similar issues?
Everyone's obviously different. Everyone's in a different, I guess, life stage, different priorities. But some practical tips is get your basics, down. A lot of people glorify, working 16 to 20 hour days, not eating that well, eating like, your ramen diet, and just hustle and grind. And that's the culture that, has been glorified, right? But realistically, it's not that sustainable. I've tried it, put on a lot of weight, got really, unhealthy in a sense. And you can just tell by the way that your vibration is and how your energy is among other people, so realistically, get the basics down. Get your sleep, get your diet, and get your exercise. Those are the three basic things. And if you can focus on that three, everything else can fall into place. But until you really focus on those, it's hard to do anything else.
Right. Thank you for sharing your tips with our audience.
Before we continue, I would like to take a moment to connect with all of you out there running your businesses. Johann just shared how his focus on personal well-being dramatically improved not only his life but also his business. It's a vital reminder for all of us. How often do you pause to assess your own health and well-being in the midst of chasing business goals? Remember, taking care of yourself is not just good for you, it's good for your business too. We will take a short break now. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into BeniPlus innovative employer benefits, solutions, and how they are transforming the landscape for small businesses across Canada.
You dreamt big. You made the leap. You and your "we're not stopping at small" business. Doesn't matter you've never done it before. You unlock those problems. You adapt to change. You learn to evolve. You're pioneers in challenging times, finding your own frontiers. Wherever you e-commerce, UPS is with you. So nothing is going to hold you back.
Contact delivers the marketing tools your small business needs to keep up, excel, and grow. Constant Contact, helping the small stand tall.
Welcome back to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. Let's continue our conversation with Johann Reandino, CEO of BeniPlus, as we explore the evolving landscape of employee benefits and how small businesses can leverage these solutions for better workforce management.
Now, moving on, let's discuss the evaluating employee benefit options. The landscape of employee benefits is vast and varied. Could you discuss the current options available in the market for employee benefits and their pros and cons from a high-level perspective?
Absolutely. So like I mentioned earlier, the market, industry norm is to go with a large insurance carrier to come up with a plan for your team. And once you really dig into it, there are limitations that come with that plan. It's not like you get an unlimited of everything. Everything is very calculated. Everything is limited. Everything has caps and maximums and this and that. So that's the, big bulk of majority of the options. The other option is to go with what they call in the Canadian market as a healthcare spending account, which is one of the foundational pieces of our platform. We've just built upon it even further and expanded it even more based on what the market was telling us to include, other categories like our wellness category, our RSP category, personal insurance, and charity. But aside from that, there isn't really too much other options out there in terms of on the benefit side of things, because obviously, cash bonuses and this and that, it's all taxed, right? So if you want to give it in terms of a lens on the umbrella of health and wellness, it's either giving them a spending account or a traditional plan or a combination of both. And that's where we're seeing a lot of the larger companies that use our platform actually give them both. And some of the smaller companies just the BeniPlus wallet is the core, benefit offering, and they're totally happy with that.
Okay. You mentioned BeniPlus wallet, right? Can you elaborate more on this, for our audience?
Yeah. So the BeniPlus wallet is the platform that we've built that essentially basically just means that as an employer, you have a team, and you basically say, I want to give everybody a $2,000 wallet to spend throughout the year, and they would then be able to allocate how they want to spend that into different categories and then start submitting claims through that. There is no pre-funding, there's no registration fees or ongoing fees or anything of that sort because it's a true pay-as-you-go based system. And so the business only makes basically incurs a cost whenever a claim is made. So that guarantees that your dollars are actually being used for something rather than just being paid, going towards premiums, and you don't know whether or not people are using and claiming. And so that's really where the basis of the wallet is. So each employee has their own benefit wallet, and then they submit claims to get reimbursed based on what they spend on. So let's say you want to go get a massage, it's $100. You would put that receipt into the app, and then you would get the $100 back into your bank account. And so our software facilitates the flow of funds from the employer's account to the employee's account, and so on and so forth, multiple times over.
Okay.
And that's where the wallet piece comes in.
Okay. Yeah, you already mentioned the benefits for employers, but when it comes to, choosing the right benefits for the team, what are your suggestions? What approach they should adopt?
So definitely know your team demographics. Like I said, it may not be for everybody, right? Because at the end of the day, depending on whether or not they're married, single, they have family, they have kids, they're older, they're younger, everyone has very different priorities in terms of how they want to take care of their health. And so the sooner you get to really know your team, the more informed decision that you can make based on this. So if, for example, your team, for a fact they're a lot older, chances are, they're on prescription drugs and this and that. So you would likely want to have a layer of that type of traditional insurance. If, let's say, for example, there's a lot of more younger folks, people that are just coming out of school, most of them are single. Most of them just say, you know what, I only use massages. That's all I like. And then it makes sense to go with a platform like ours as well, right? So no matter really what the demographic stands, our team is more than happy to walk you through that process of understanding what would be a good fit and then creating a package that would essentially meet the best of both worlds. And that's where our technology comes into play, because we can layer in our core wallet solution together with other very bespoke insurance type of coverage, depending on if there's going to be value, from that specific employer group.
Okay. And I believe, understanding these options that you have mentioned is very crucial for businesses aiming to make informed strategic decisions about employee benefits. Thank you for sharing with our audience. And how can our audience, who is interested in learning more about these options, can get connected with BeniPlus?
Yeah, feel free to contact us, beniplus.ca. Call us, email us. More than happy to chat with you. I'm happy to chat with you myself personally as well. I always love talking to other business owners and seeing where they are in their journey and what they're all about. I think the email, you can put it in the links or the description or whatnot below. But more than happy to have a chat.
So moving on, Johann, what's next for BeniPlus? Are there new features or expansions on the horizon that you can share with us today?
Oh yeah, lots. We've actually just launched our distribution model. So we've launched our partnership portal. And so what that means is anyone that has a business relationship with a business owner can essentially learn about our product and see if it could be a good fit for their clients. So advisors, your traditional benefits brokers and insurance advisors, those would be a very good fit. But there's also a lot of other folks out there that say, hey, you know what? I know a bunch of business owners. This would be great for them. Let's work together. And so we've created a platform that can essentially enable that. And in terms of other modifications and enhancements to our core technology, there's a lot on the roadmap. And all I can say is it's just going to be better, more flexible, more, I guess, catered to what the market is asking for, because we're always listening to the market. And that's really how we can be agile and move and develop certain things based on what the market is telling us. It says, hey, can you guys do X? Can you guys do Y? And usually the answer is yes.
Taking the feedback from the actual people and tailoring the product according to the needs. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, you and I, we might have a great idea in our head,
right,
but the market might not agree to it.
Yes.
So it's very, very important that we're always listening to the market and making sure that we move accordingly.
Yeah. And Johann, how do you see the future of employee benefits evolving in the next few years?
Flexibility, I think, is going to be the key, because especially now with the way that the job market is going and whatnot, it's more like they're going to perceive value in very different ways. And it's already becoming evident that sometimes people, if you ask them, anybody that could be working, large corporate or even any small business that says, hey, do you use your benefits? Chances are they're like, meh, not really. Or it's there, here and there, and but would you say you use 100% of it? And then the answer is usually no, because that's usually the case. But the employer is still paying for 100% of it, but not everyone's using 100% of it. So I think really to the move towards flexibility of cost as well as usage, those are going to be the top two priorities as to, what the benefits business is going to look like.
Okay, Johann, you have diverse experience in different fields, and you have already tested the water of entrepreneurship. Before we wrap up, could you offer one piece of advice to our listeners who are considering, starting their own business?
I would say get your ducks in a row and do it. Everyone has that fear of taking the initial step or the initial plunge of the comforts and safety. But if you really think about it with today's economic conditions, that safety net of a quote unquote job is not always there, realistically, right? And so at the end of the day, as long as you have kind of certain backup plans in place, there is no better time to start than now, because it's something that you're going to regret if you don't do it now. If not now, when? Right? That's one of those questions that you got to ask yourself. And whether or not it does, again, align with your values, how you see yourself being happy in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And if you're going to look back and say, oh, I wish I would have done that thing. Or if you what's a better, I guess, outcome, whether you're regretting not doing it or you're regretting trying it. Maybe it worked out, maybe it didn't, but at least you tried it.
Right. As you rightly said, like starting is the main point where, like everything will fall into place. But it's not easy, but you have to start and act now. Thank you for sharing your advice with us. It was a great pleasure hosting you today, Johann.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for joining us today in our studio. It was a great pleasure.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
For our listeners, remember the transformative power of innovative employee benefits on business success and staff well-being. A big thank you to our exclusive partners RBC, UPS, Zero, Constant Contact and IHG Hotels and Resorts. Don't forget to subscribe to the Canadian SME Small Business Magazine by visiting CanadianSME.ca for more invaluable resources. Join us next time for more insights to fuel your entrepreneurial journey. Until next time, keep innovating and pushing the boundaries of your business potential.